Dr. Vikki Petersen here. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about intestinal biopsies as part of the diagnosis of celiac disease. If you follow my videos or blogs at all, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of intestinal biopsies, and I haven't been for several years. They're very invasive, they're very costly, they're potentially dangerous whenever someone undergoes anesthesia, especially in children. It's a possible harm to the body, and if these could be avoided, of course it would be excellent. Not to mention the fact that I don't find them to be highly specific in diagnosing celiac disease. If you look at the terrain or the acreage of the body that we're addressing when we're looking at a biopsy is 23 feet of small intestine. We're taking about a minimum of 4 to 5 samples, and the surface area of the small intestine is the size of a tennis court. So if you can imagine taking microscopic samples from the size of a tennis court, you can imagine how if somebody has anything but complete annihilation of their small intestine, it wouldn't be difficult to miss an area that was affected and perhaps biopsy instead an area that looked healthy, and therefore you were given a wrong diagnosis. But these particular studies come to us from the Journal of Pediatric Gastroenterology and Nutrition, both May this year, 2011, as well as June. And in one study, they looked at doing genetic testing on children, as well as blood tests, or the TTG test, for celiac disease. And they found that the correlation between gene testing and the blood testing was high enough and predictably high enough in the almost 99% range, such that their conclusions were that in these children that had a positive genetic test and a positive TTG test, that there was absolutely no reason to do an intestinal biopsy. So that was good news. And in the other test, excuse me one second, I'm looking at my notes. In the other test, what they did was just the TTG test, and they correlated that with improvement on a gluten-free diet. So this was the study done just last month in June. And they found that a high TTG test over 100, as well as correlation on a gluten-free diet of the person, of the patient feeling better on a gluten-free diet, was again high enough predictive value of celiac disease that a biopsy was unnecessary. So I'm specifically talking about celiac disease in these cases. I'm not discussing gluten sensitivity, which I often mention as well. But this is specifically for celiac disease. These were specifically studies done on children. And if you've already biopsied your child, please don't feel badly or at all guilty about having done that. Of course, you did it because you felt that it was the right thing to do. But I'm talking about parents that maybe are told to rebiopsy their children who have celiac disease, or parents who have never done a biopsy and are perhaps thinking of doing it. It's very important that you know about this research and know that the intestinal biopsy is not considered the gold standard that it was years ago, and some doctors are not up to speed on the latest research on this, and so you'll hear them say it's the only way to go, and it's not. It's definitely not. It's expensive, it's potentially dangerous, as we mentioned, not to mention scary to a child. So blood test is bad enough, and finding out if the genetics are there is a simple swab inside the mouth, so that one's easy and painless. So I hope this was helpful. Please let others that you know who are perhaps looking into this as a form of diagnosis, please let them know about this research. And I think we're only going to be hearing more and more about this and the fact that it's unnecessary. So that's exciting news, and I hope you find it helpful. Until next time, I wish you very good health.